This is the plaintiff, Lawrence Rauchs. He says he rented a room in the defendant's house, and the crazy guy attacked him in his bed in the middle of the night in a drunken stupor. They got into a physical altercation. He was handcuffed when the cops arrived and was then robbed of his belongings. This whole thing has been a nightmare, and he's here suing this nutty guy for the $9,089 he's out. This is the defendant, Andrew. He says the plaintiff acted very inappropriately with another female tenant in the house. He would actually stand stark naked in the bathroom outside her door, waiting for her to walk by and see him. When he went to talk to him about it, the guy hauled off and sucker punched him. And he had a knife in his hand. Oh, this kooky guy almost 10 grand? No way. He's accused of tussling with a tenant. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $9,535.65 for hospital bills and pain and suffering.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that he rented a room in the defendant's house and the wacko attacked him in his bed in the middle of the night. So he wants $9 grand for all he's out. Now, the defendant says that the plaintiff acted inappropriately with the female tenants and had to go. It's the case of a really bad fit.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Rao, you are suing Mr. Andrew for $9,089 that you say you are out as a result of his negligence and lying to the police. And you have a counterclaim against him for medical expenses in the amount of $9,533, Mr. Andrew, as well as pain and suffering. Let me hear from you first, Mr. Rao.
Well, one night, the evening, actually, the morning, of September 9th, 2019, I was just trying to get to sleep in my bed when suddenly, out of nowhere, I just hear somebody bust into my room. And this person's very drunk because there's a very strong stench. And it's Andrew, my landlord, or the person I'm paying rent to.
How long had you been living there?
I've been living there for several months, since October of 2018.
Oh, so about a year. All right. So had it been bad before the night that he busted in?
It had started getting pretty awkward after the female tenant moved in.
What made it awkward between you two based on the female roommate?
Well, honestly, I didn't have any issue with the female roommate.
Did she have an issue with you?
I had noticed that he was trying to kind of pit her against me, and she and I would mostly get along, and I texted her that day saying, because she had complained to me something about toilet paper, and I was like, well, here, Tori, I just bought I got a new toilet paper set. I was like, don't let Andrew make you think that like I'm the bad guy, okay? Because like, if anything, he's the common enemy. And
that is a weird way to live. All right, so he busts into your door, and what happens?
And he busts into my door, and he puts his hands on my shoulder in a gripping manner, and he is very, very drunk, and he shouts into my face, and he says, "Don't talk to Tori. You got that? Don't ever talk to." And he's like shaking me, and I'm just like, I'm totally, utterly just shocked. And I managed to get myself out of his grip though. And I'm just like, Andrew, I said, Andrew, you have to get out of my room right now. And he said, well, you have to agree. Yes. I'm like, before I agree to anything, get out of my room, get out. And instead of getting out, he starts approaching me. And I'm not a violent person. I start backing up, and I just say to him, I say, Andrew, you don't want to hit a disabled person, dude. And
how are you differently abled?
I've had epilepsy since I was 11, and I have seizures. I've been having seizures. It's been a lifelong battle, I should say. And I take pills every day.
And then what is he? You say that to him, and what does he say or do?
He corners me, and then the physical escalation happens. And
who strikes who first?
He struck me first.
How did he strike you?
Your Honor, to be completely honest, I don't remember.
Okay, so now there's a physical altercation between you two, and how does it end?
I was able to effectively get him out of my room. So let's just say I won the fight.
How did you get him out of your room?
I mean, I
Push
gave
him out?
I was able to give him a few punches. And
okay.
Yeah. It was
And
like
then
2 or
did you
3
push him
punches.
out after punching him?
No, I pushed him out. Yeah, no, well, he actually ran up the stairs.
Okay,
bolts up
did
the
you call
stairs.
the police?
I called the police.
And then the police come and what happens?
Well, first he's like, Lawrence, don't call the police. We can resolve this some other way. And then the police come, and then the police come, and immediately they handcuff me. And
Okay.
and I'm just like, what? Like, what? How are you guys handcuffing me? Like, I called you guys about this. Like, this is a bad situation for me. I'm the good guy.
Let me hear from you, Mr. Andrew, about this one aspect of the case, which is the fight that happens in the room in the wee hours of the morning and why. Go ahead.
All right. First, I never struck Lawrence. Second, I never barged in his room. His light was on. The chain lock was off. He always keeps his chain lock on his door. And
Was
I
the door
should add,
closed?
Yes. I asked Lawrence. Yeah, I opened the door. That I did do. I was instantly ambushed. There was no dialogue.
You were instantly ambushed about what? If he says, yes, come in, where's the ambush? Didn't you just say he invited you in?
I just opened the door. I was expecting the chain lock. It opened wider. I was instantly ambushed. All of the dialogue.
Okay, you need to stop, Mr. Andrew, because I don't understand how you're ambushed when you're going into his bedroom in the wee hours. You
He's
must have
standing there
stop
waiting.
talking and listen to my question. Why are you going to his bedroom in the wee hours? There must be a reason you're going in there, and I'm asking you for that reason, and you keep talking about an ambush. What is your reason for going into his space at that time?
The plaintiff says the defendant barged into his room and attacked him in his bed, and now he's out over $9,000 because of it. But the defendant says the plaintiff was a tenant of his, and he acted very inappropriately with another female tenant, and they got into an altercation over it. Let's listen.
I got a text from Tori. What Lawrence had been doing, I caught him once, she caught him once, is he would just open the bathroom door wide open, turn on the light, running water, stand there naked.
Okay.
I told him to stop. I was coming to tell him, if you do it again, I really will evict you. I used the word evict for 30 days because his behavior was unacceptable and inappropriate the moment Victoria moved in here. And I should add, she heard the whole thing. She gave testimony to the South Philly detectives who pressed charges.
Okay, so let's back up. You had received a text from the female roommate saying he was he had the door open and was so she would see him doing it, right?
It was already an issue because I'd caught him doing it.
I want to know
Then
what
she caught
happened that caused you to walk into his room that night. Am I not making myself clear? What had just happened?
I was coming to say, stop doing this.
All right, so you go in there to say that, and according to you, how many words do you get out before he
no words.
No words. So you open the door, and he does what?
Immediately, all I saw was a flash of blue light because my head got cracked. He likes to say he punched me. The dude had a knife in his head that was closed. Thank God the blade wasn't out. Swiss Army knife, pounded my skull. He did it like 3 or 4 times. I managed to get the knife out and go like that.
Wait, the knife out? How did you get the knife out of what?
It fell out of his hand.
Oh, out of his hand. Okay.
Right.
And then?
And then he runs downstairs. I run upstairs because blood's coming down my face. I lock my door. I'm looking in the mirror. He ran outside. He called the cops. The cops showed up. They had us both come outside. They took us separately, an officer each person, heard the stories. Then they cuff him. I go inside. I lock the door. I call a locksmith to make sure this guy doesn't get back in the house.
I know, but you know that's an illegal lockout, right? The law has a method for you not to have, let's assume every word you said was true, that he is not only sexually inappropriate with the other roommate, but he physically assaulted you. There is a method, there's a legal method for getting him out because we can't have people making stuff up because they no longer want their roommate and they don't want to have to go through eviction because that's long, expensive, and time consuming. So what the method that the law envisions for you to get a dangerous guy out is a restraining order that says that he can't go back there. But you didn't do that. You changed the locks, right?
I was willing to deal with whatever legal consequences. This man is dangerous. I had 2 other housemates to worry about, one of which he'd been totally sexually harassing for over 30 days. I was willing to deal with it.
Do you have an affidavit from that female roommate?
Again, I thought this would all be in the discovery process because.
Do you have? Listen, I am a civil judge hearing a civil case. I do not do your research for. I'm just asking you. Do you have a statement from her, either one that she gave to the Philly police or one that she gave you for this defense?
No, I do not. I do not have
All
any.
right. How about police reports? Are there police reports where what she said would be written?
Well, the district attorney has their paperwork.
Do you have it for me?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you have the police reports, Mr. Rao?
I have everything.
Okay, hold on one second. Where's the rest of the witness's statement? Because I have the beginning police report, but it conveniently cuts off at where the witness says what happened. And the witness we're talking about is the female resident. I want to know what she says. Do you have it in front of you so that you can hold it up to the camera so I can read what the witness said?
I didn't realize that I was going to be needing.
Is that a yes or a no? Can you send? My needs are very simple. Can you send me the whole affidavit? Because to me, having done what I do for so long, when someone takes a picture of the top of the affidavit and cuts out when the witness, who's the female tenant, is telling her side of the story, it's because you don't want me to see what the witness says. I now really want to see what the witness says.
Your Honor, all I can say is that where it says "get out of my room,"
I don't want you to editorialize.
No, okay.
I want to see it with my own eyeballs.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiff says that he got handcuffed and arrested because of the defendant's lies. But the defendant says the plaintiff attacked him with a knife, and thank God the cops hauled him away. Let's go back into the courtroom.
So what happens next? So the police are out there. Do the police end up arresting you, right, Mr. Rao?
They didn't arrest me. They did not arrest me. They cuffed me, but they did not arrest me.
Oh, they did not arrest you. Did they charge you with anything that night?
No. If you would allow me, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. So he locks you out. How does he lock you out?
Well, he does it after. He does it after he talks to the police.
Okay. And how does he do it?
The police came. They handcuffed me. They escorted me to the back of their car. Then they said, "Wait here while we talk to Andrew."
And then,
while I'm in the back of the car, they go talk to Andrew, who's completely intoxicated. And I know he's not going to give him a coherent story. Anyways, after they're finished with him, they come back and they get me. And they say, and they don't arrest me. They choose not to arrest me because, as it states,
what do they tell you to do about sleeping there that night?
Well, first of all, they tell me to go back into your room because they don't know that you locked me out.
When you try to go back into your room, what do you find?
I don't get. In fact, I first knock on the door. They don't open the door. They can't. He doesn't open the door for me because he's already locked me out.
And he's already locked you out. So do you call the police? Yeah. At that point, have the police left or no?
At that point, the police asked me if I knew anybody in Philadelphia. They told me that this wasn't really under their jurisdiction to handle, and they asked me if I knew anybody in Philadelphia.
And asked for you to sleep somewhere else that night.
Exactly. And
so they give you a ride to an ex-girlfriend's house. You sleep there. Yeah, the next day you come back. And when you come back, what happens?
So I come back about an hour. It's around 5 a.m. now.
Okay. And what do you do?
I walk back down there, and then I shout to Andrew. I said, "Andrew, if you want to have it out like this, be a man. Throw me out my pills at least." And at that point, it's pitch black. He opens up. I see him open up my window. He opens up my window, not his window, my window from my room, and he peeks his head out. He's looking for valuables to throw out. He takes my laptop and he just throws it out the window. Smash. Then there's also some glass items on my desk. He throws out.
A bomb.
Create like a little. Yes.
Okay, go on.
Expensive one.
An expensive bomb.
Okay. Yeah, he smashes it. And so right away I call the police. He does not throw out my pills, which is really the one thing that I really need. I call the police immediately. By then he's closed the window and everything. The police come down though, same policeman as before, and I try to get him to open the door again. He does not open the door. So anyways, I realized the best thing to do for me at this point is to go to the hospital and get treated via triage at the emergency room.
To get pills.
To get pills, exactly. And I go to the emergency room, and while I'm there, I get the creative idea that actually I hadn't tried the back patio yet. So I go back to the place, and this time instead of trying to get in through the front, I climb over through the back. And although the door is locked in the back, the window is is opening. And surprise, surprise, he's on the first floor, and he notices me trying to get in through the back window, and he's like, "Lawrence, you can't break and enter. This is break and enter." But he starts poking this broomstick at me, and I'm just like, so I managed to get the broomstick somehow out of his hands. And then as soon as that happens, he turns to a beer bottle, and he chucks a beer bottle about 5 feet in front of my face, and fortunately misses. And at that point, I hear it smash behind my head. I climb in through the window, and he just bolts. He just bolts up to his room.
Did you get your pills?
I bolt to my room. Yeah, absolutely. I bolt to my room. I know he has a gun too, I believe, and so
So all these are very bad ideas on your part. If he has a gun.
I need my medication.
Yeah, I know. You could get it from the hospital. You could have stayed put in the hospital and gotten your medication. I mean, we all know you could get your medication a different way than going to a house with a crazy guy with a gun, right? Like, that's the worst way to get your medication, is returning to a house with a crazy guy with a gun. Did you end up going back to get the rest of your stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They told me.
So you are suing for $2,000 for emotional distress, $1,600 for unlawful eviction, $1,000 for deprivation of the medicine, $1,119 for the Dell laptop. Do you have a receipt for the Dell laptop?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
provided it.
You're also suing for your prorated rent because you got thrown out in the middle of September, and so you want the rest of your rent back that you didn't get to live. I understand that. Unanticipated rent increase because the next place you went to, you had to pay more. And the rest is defamation. The bulk of your case is the false charges leading, well, it's not the bulk, but it's the other 2,000 are false charges leading to time spent in prison and 2 seizures. I want to talk about that. How much time did you end up spending in prison?
It was about 3.5 to 4 days.
Okay, and that's because later on, even though the police didn't arrest you that night or charge you that night, he went and filed charges with the district attorney, correct?
Correct.
And they issued a warrant. Right. So they got a warrant for your arrest. And how did you end up getting arrested? Did they call you and tell you surrender?
Yes, they gave me a phone call. They said they said we've gotten all this information.
Right. I got it. The answer is yes. All right. So then you went, and before you could post bail, 3 or 4 days pass. You end up with a trial, and the trial happens when?
The trial happened about a month after.
Okay.
I believe,
and
like
what
3 or
happens
4
with
weeks.
the trial?
Immediately dropped the aggravated assault.
All right, Mr. Andrew, I want to hear from you. You've already described what happened that night. You realize that there are consequences to pay for an illegal lockout. What I would like to talk about is the computer and the bong that he says you throw out the window. Tell me what happens at the window. Go ahead, Mr. Andrew.
Okay, I open up the window because this dude ain't coming back in this house. Not after that psychotic episode. I said, he wants his laptop. He wasn't saying it. I'm like, dude, catch. I didn't throw.
Are you on a first story or a second story when you do that?
His room was second story.
So you would literally release the computer from your hands?
Yes.
And does he catch?
No.
And you think that's on him and not you?
At that stage, quite honestly,
you don't care.
No.
Right. Well, there's consequences to pay for that. What about, I don't even know, it's marijuana legal in your state? Philadelphia. Do you have a prescription you can show me, Mr. Rao?
I have one from California.
That doesn't work in Philadelphia. All right, so I can't discuss the value of your bong because that's considered paraphernalia in your state. So the laptop is thrown, the bong is thrown, and what else? Are those the two?
Your Honor, to honest,
are those the two things that are thrown out the window? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do you throw out his medicine? Because I imagine he's asking for his medicine, Mr. Andrew.
He never asked for his medicine.
All right. So what he says is that you made up all this stuff, and he got criminally prosecuted, and he says he ended up being found not guilty.
Okay.
So according to him, you made up the allegation that he attacked you, and And according to him, you now owe him many thousands of dollars because of it. You have a lawsuit against him for your medical expenses that were incurred when, in 2019?
Yes, the night where I went to chat with him where he ambushed me.
Okay, the judges found him not guilty of that. But in any event, what happened to you? What were your when he sucker punched you? According to you,
it wasn't a punch. It was a smash with a metal object.
Which is interesting because I did read enough of the police report to see that you, according to the first officer on the scene, never mentioned a metal object. And then when you were told you'd have to file a complaint downtown because this was a misdemeanor outside their presence and they couldn't arrest, you then mentioned a metal object. That's exactly what the officer says you did. That the first mention of a metal object came after you heard that they would not be able to arrest him for a misdemeanor outside their presence.
That is not the case.
That's fine. I'm telling you what the police report says. According to P.O. Sebron, the complainant did not mention the knife during the initial conversation, but then stated that he was assaulted with a knife after it was explained that the complainant would need to seek a private criminal complaint. What were your injuries? Did you get stitches? Did you get, what happened to you?
It was a broken orbital bone, and it was broken in like 2 places, and that is not done by a fist.
No, can I ask you though, what was the treatment of that?
Basically, they weren't going to do any surgery or anything. Okay. I mean, take extra strength Tylenol to let the swelling. Okay.
Did you end up on any painkillers or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so the $5,000 in pain and suffering is because of the punch, but you weren't on any painkillers. You were on extra strength Tylenol. One of the things you're suing for, Mr. Rao, is 2 seizures. Do you have any evidence of the 2 seizures?
I can't provide evidence of seizures that I had in prison, Your Honor, no.
Well, you should be able to, because if you're having a seizure, the prison would document it and take you out and take you to the medical wing.
Well, they put me in a different part of the prison after I had the first seizure, but the guards were very, very negligent and incapable of accommodating me with my pills. Okay. And that's what led to the seizures.
Okay. Okay, folks, let's discuss first the medical expenses and the pain and suffering. We'll go in reverse order, the counterclaim. The counterclaim is not filed until 2022. The statute of limitations for that has passed. So you are entitled to 0 on that claim because you have missed the deadline for filing that. Let's discuss now Mr. Rao's claim against Mr. Andrew. I find that you're entitled to some of the things you're asking for. I do not find that you're entitled to the amount that you're asking for. I don't know what happened between you guys. I wasn't there. But in order for you to succeed in a malicious prosecution case, you got to prove 3 things: malice, no probable cause, and a result favorable to you. I'm sure there's plenty of malice to go around, and you clearly got a result favorable to you, but that there's no probable cause for that prosecution, I don't buy it. Frankly, I don't know what happened in there. I don't know who hit who first. I don't know. I think you're both acting like jerks. I definitely think that you are in the right, Mr. Rao, when it comes to an illegal lockout and the consequential damages as a result of that, as well as the Dell. It is a 2-year-old Dell. When you go to court, you don't get the cost of replacement or the cost that you paid 2 years ago. You get the depreciated value of the item. I am setting that depreciated value at a very generous $750. Because I don't like how it happened. The rent increase, you didn't expect that. That's a consequence of being unlawfully evicted. And the prorated rent, that's the rent you paid him that you didn't get to live out. And I agree with you because there is a right way and a wrong way to get somebody out, and this is not the right way. And he knows it, and he says, I'm willing to pay the consequences. So now's the time he pays the piper. And so all of those amounts come up to $1,595. Those are your consequential damages for the unlawful eviction, and that is why I'm granting you. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So, after all of the testimony, the plaintiff ends up with $1,595. Mr. Andrew, you're the defendant in this case. What's your reaction to all of this?
Well, in terms of the laptop and the rent, I can understand the judge. In terms of pretty much everything Lawrence said was total lies. That's about it.
All right, that's about it. You got to pay him $1,595. That's what the judge says. You're going to have to live with that. Okay, Mr. Rao, you had been suing actually for $9,089. You didn't come anywhere near that. What do you feel about the judge's decision?
I feel it's fair in the sense that it's hard to prove false statements and defamation is based on false statements. However, the way that it unfolded, you should definitely still be responsible for the price that I put there.
All right, that'll wrap it up for this case, and that's what the plaintiff gets, $1,595. Harvey?
Doug, so this case really involves an allegation of malicious prosecution. Frankly, it's not even close. There was probable cause, as the judge says, to arrest the plaintiff, But typically, in a malicious prosecution case, you have to prove that the person who got you arrested was motivated solely out of malice, and that clearly wasn't the case here.
Marilyn, what's the first thing you do when you get home from work?
Home from taping here, the first thing I do is take a shower to get the airplane off of me. Well, that's not true. The first thing I do is pet the dog.
Yeah.
Because she'll be waiting for us and she hasn't seen us, and she always says that, "You came back, look."
Like she's astonished.
Right,
that we came
it's
back
a miracle that we came back.
Right.
Yeah, and then after that, I just wash the airport off me.
Right. I'll tell you, my protocol is kind of, we get in the door, and I spend the first 5 or 10 minutes with the dog.
Right.
Just fussing over the dog, petting the dog, talking to the dog, and then I haul our suitcases upstairs.
Oh yeah, you haul everybody's.
I always put yours up on a stool so you don't have to bend over to open it, and then I open it up so you can unpack, right?
Yes, that's true, actually.
Okay, and then it's probably downstairs. I go back out, get the mail, huge pile of mail.
Then you
dump
dump it on
right
my
on
head.
your desk.
Right.
On your desk.
For me to handle.
I dump all the mail on your desk, and then probably.
And then oftentimes I'll just sit there and go through the week's mail because I can't stand
like that.
it.
You can't even, like, it can't take 10 minutes. It's like, boom,
And
you
you're
gotta
like,
start.
Nina,
I'm like,
relax. We just got
don't
home.
do that.
I know.
Right? And then I usually fetch a beer or wine for both of us, something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, unless it's like midnight already or it's in the morning.
Or even if it is.
Once in a while. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Right?